We begin today's program with quite shocking information from investigations conducted by Public Eye. Winner of the group's first ever investigation award, Maurisse, conducted a research that revealed a problematic practice used by Swiss tobacco industries. Cigarettes exports to African countries are more harmful and addictive than those destined for Europe. A scandalous double standard there, and Morocco is unfortunately the main victim of these cigarettes. The study indicates the cigarettes produced by Philip Maurisse and Japan Tobacco International in Switzerland and sold in Morocco contained markedly higher levels of particles, nicotine and carbon monoxide than those produced for the domestic market.
Well, further, the emerging markets represents a privileged target because these countries do not have the means to implement proactive health policies. And Africa seems a convenient target market because cigarette consumption in Europe is on the decline.
We now speak to Maurisse, who conducted this research titled The Blazing Success of Swiss Cigarettes in Africa. Thank you, Marie, for joining us in the program, and congratulations on your award. So the million-dollar question, what pushed you to carry out this investigation?
Here in Switzerland, the tobacco industry plays a major role in the economy. The three largest tobacco producers in the world have offices and factories in Switzerland. And I have heard about the fact that they export a lot of cigarettes. So I found it very strange that a country as expensive as Switzerland, with very high wages and manufactures Swiss cigarettes at a fairly high production cost, could export them to developing countries. And then the packages are sold much cheaper than in Switzerland. So I found it quite strange, so I wanted to know more, which is why I initiated this investigation. The truth is that I discovered that there were indeed two types of cigarettes, those manufactured in Switzerland for the Swiss, where the tar, nicotine and carbon monoxide values limited by law, so they are low. And then there is a second category of cigarettes that are cigarettes intended for export, not only in Africa, but also in Japan and in the Gulf countries. And these cigarettes are much stronger in tar, nicotine and carbon monoxide. So it is done legally. They manufacture these cigarettes in Switzerland. There are lighter cigarettes, that is in quotes, for the Swiss, and more toxic cigarettes for other consumers, including many Africans. In terms of figures, what does your survey reveal about the content of nicotine, tar and carbon monoxide between those prepared for the European market and then those destined for Africa?
According
to the laboratory analysis and my research, the tar, nicotine and carbon monoxide contents of cigarettes smoked in Switzerland and cigarettes smoked in Africa have been compared. According to Swiss law, cigarettes in Switzerland are limited to 10 mg tar per cigarette, 10 mg carbon monoxide per cigarette and 1 mg nicotine per cigarette. So it's a bit like the limit value is called 10 to 1 to 10. This is the maximum law for cigarettes smoked in Europe and Switzerland. But in the Moroccan cigarettes I had analyzed, I found nicotine levels that are 1.6 or 1.7. So it's almost twice as much as the amount of nicotine in European cigarettes. And we can have carbon monoxide levels and tar levels that are higher than 15 mg per cigarette. So it is much more than the maximum figure of 10 under Swiss law. And it results in more harm for those who smoke cigarettes. The tar and carbon monoxide have actions on the lungs.
Et ça a comme conséquence plus de toxicité parce que quand on fume une cigarette, donc la nicotine c'est ce qui rend dépendant à la cigarette.
Besides the effect it has on the lungs, it also affects breathing and heart functioning of the smoker.
And Marie, what do these Swiss tobacco companies aim to achieve with these problematic practices?
C'est difficile à dire parce que
It's hard to say because, you know, it is a very secret industry, so I had a lot of trouble finding information. What I understood is that the number of smokers in rich countries like Switzerland is decreasing, and therefore these countries need to find new customers. New customers, and Africa is a continent full of smokers and future smokers, and then more and more women and girls have also joined the category of smokers in these countries. So for them, it is important to conquer the continent as a new market. And finally, these factories that are stationed in Switzerland must make returns. But then the number of Swiss smokers are not enough to make these returns. So they must also continue to manufacture cigarettes, and those cigarettes that will be too high in our country comes to you in other countries. And that makes it possible for them to continue to make these returns. So the African market is supplied with all these cigars.